They boxed me in for real. And I like wasn't having that. Like by the time I was in my senior year, it was really me versus 299 other kids, you know? What's up? How y'all doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is what? 6:54 in the morning. Harlem, New York City. Cloudy as hell. A little bit more intimate this time. Got y'all in a room, cleaned it up just a little bit, you know. I have a small little clip of how it looked before. I cleaned it up because it wasn't looking too good. But welcome back. If you don't know who you're looking at, Universal Hunt. Universal like the word, like the sky. People call me Uni for short. UNI. You know what I'm saying? Didn't mean to rhyme that. It's just how it is, you know. Welcome back. It's nice to see you. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Oh, Jesus Christ. Welcome back to another video, you heard? Yeah, before we get into it, I just want to say thank you so much for all of the, you know, the reactions, the love, the engagement on my last one, my first for real YouTube video ever. Thank y'all for trusting me. Thank y'all for appreciating me, appreciating what I have to say, spending 30 minutes of your time like listening to me. That's crazy. I just want to say thank you so much for giving me a chance, for giving me your eyes and your ears, and for coming back, you know, for coming back to the channel. I really love and I really appreciate y'all. So thank you so much for that. And yo, snaps for consistency, because we back again on another Saturday morning. Come on, you know what it is. Also, snaps and clap it up. It is my father's birthday today. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Man's turns 56 today, so yeah, let's go. Congratulations to him, to, you know, half of who I am today. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Dad. I'm not gonna show y'all what I did for him. It's, you know, it's too crazy. Like I said, thank you. Welcome back. It's nice to see you. Hope it's nice to see me again. The topic that I wanted to discuss today is moving without fear. I'm gonna get into a little bit of what exactly I mean by that. I'm gonna break it down for you. I want to say before we dive in, if you learned anything from this video, or if you know, you enjoy it in any way at all, please, I would have really appreciate it if you drop a like and a comment down below of your opinions, anything you want me to talk about. Please, you know what I'm saying, let me know. It helps the channel out, helps me grow, and yeah, keeps the channel in yo motherfucking notification box. Sorry, hold up, I'm gonna get my notes right here. It's on this little fucking Spectrum envelope, so don't even don't even trip on me, man. If you want to see more videos like this and stay updated on anything Universal related, you know, music, art, my voice, my opinions, anything like that, I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me. And yeah, hit that bell, bro, so that you don't miss none of these videos when they drop. I want to make sure that you stay tapped in, and that when these videos drop, when the content drops, that you are aware, because I'm gonna try and keep it consistent, but in case anything changes, you don't want to miss it. So let's get to this topic. Like I said, moving without fear. So before we go forward into why I want to discuss this topic and kind of the meat of moving without fear, before we focus on that, we have to understand what home means. I am moving, you know, as you guys know, I've lived in Harlem, or as you don't know, I live in Harlem. I've lived in Harlem since I was about 2 years old. I'm 25 right now. That's a long fucking time. Yeah, I am moving from Harlem to Chicago. At the moment, it's like a soft move. I'm not literally taking all of my things and bringing them over to Chicago. But yeah, I am making a really big transition, and in that transition, I've had to understand and I've had to reckon with like what home means to me. And so that's what this video is about. If I should just start off, you know what I'm saying, at the very beginning, so that you guys understand where I'm coming from. I was born in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, Fort Greene Projects, I believe. My mom and dad, when they were pregnant with me, they moved in with my my grandmother on my dad's side. My dad was a tour manager and an A&R at the time, and my mom was like preparing to be a singer. Like they were both kind of in and out of the music industry. And then when my mom got pregnant with me, you know what I'm saying, of course things changed, and they couldn't run around and do all the stuff, you know what I'm saying, that you can do when you don't have the responsibility of a kid on your back. So my dad moved back in, you know what I'm saying, with his mother figure, and they stayed, you know what I'm saying, in Fort Greene Projects for like a little while with my nana. Rest in peace, my nana. Beautiful lady. I have a whole lot of memories from that place. It was really, really wonderful. Being able to stay with my Nana was really lovely. We would always like stay up late and like watch wrestling together. And then when I turned about 2 years old, we moved to, like I said in the last video, 137th on Strivers Row in Harlem. I remember us walking like all of our stuff over there. I remember one of the first things that we put down in like what was my parents' bedroom, put the big ass box TV down in there. Me and my dad just like laid on the floor, plugged in the PS2, and we was playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 3D like kind of level to level one. I'll put a picture of it right here. When we first got there, like of course I had to go to school. We found this little place. The leader of it was this dude named Ned O'Gorman, and he was like one of the sweetest, one of the nicest people that like you could ever meet in your life. Like just creating a space for kids all around the city, all around Harlem to like come and like get an early education, you know, especially like when doing so is not cheap. You know, it's never been cheap to get a good education. And so he really provided a whole lot of kids in the city with like some essential foundational stuff that you just needed like as a kid. And like he taught us about the world. He got us excited about traveling. He got us excited about learning. Yeah, rest in peace to Ned O'Gorman, a very beautiful and essential man. And also like if he wasn't in my life, I would not be where I am today, because at Ned O'Gorman School at the shelter, I did my pre-K and my first grade there. He was actually really good friends with the headmaster of St. Bernard's, STB's, St. Bernard's School, the school that I went to after. I have a very vivid memory of like him driving me in like a super rainy, like kind of dark New York morning, similar to this. Me just sitting in the back of the car and him just driving me to the school to get a lay of the land and to meet the headmaster. And yeah, before I knew it, that was the school I got transferred to. And it was such a blessing because like, yo, that school is ridiculous. Like even back then it was like tens of thousands of dollars just to get into that school, because it was a private school in like the Upper East Side. I was privileged enough to be able to attend that school and to enroll in that school. When I tested into it, like I said, I took pre-K and I took first grade already. I got into their first grade, but just because of their system or whatever, they made me start from kindergarten again, which you know wasn't a big deal. But like on paper, I should have graduated from college, from school like a year too early, you know. But whatever. It is what it is. That's why we're here today, you know. When I was going to school at St. B's, I'd have to wake up every day like 6 o'clock in the morning because school started at 8 a.m. and I lived like an hour away, so it'd take like an hour to get ready, you know what I'm saying, and then give or take traffic from Harlem to all the way downtown, Fifth Avenue traffic. That shit was disgusting. I had to wake up super early, usually wanted to like come into school so I could get breakfast, so I could like see my friends. We all like met in like one big gym, and then we would like all shake hands with the headmaster and then like go upstairs to our classes or whatever. Because both my home and school were in like completely separate places, that's kind of how I treated it. And even when I was growing up, like on 137th on Strivers Row, I didn't know like a whole lot of my neighbors. Like of course the people who lived like on my immediate block, I was friends with them. Shout out Mimi, shout out Jacob, shout out Alan, you know, shout out Yasmin, shout out Unk. People talk about, oh, Unk this, Unk that. I actually had somebody on my block who was named Unk. That was another one of my like uncle, like kind of father figures. You know, I remember bro like picking me up as a little kid and like tossing me like up in the air, like into the trees until I screamed and everything. It was silly. And I'd like the first time I ever got the wind knocked out of me was like we were playing catch and bro just like beamed the football like right into my chest, and I was like, oh, and I fell over. I have very fond memories of living over there. That's what my home was, my house and my little block area and the spots that I used to run around in. That was my home. School was something else. School was something that I went to, and then home was something that I came back to, especially because at St. B's there was nobody from my neighborhood who really lived there. It was a whole bunch of different types of kids. It was Indian kids, it was Asian kids, it was white kids, it was Jewish kids, because like, you know what I'm saying, like they live up over there in the Upper East Side, that like most folks had apartments, or you know what I'm saying, we're staying somewhere where the more wealthy folk live. That's where they were from. And then I would like go back to my home, you know. And like when people would be like, oh, like yeah, let's go over to XYZ house, nobody ever came over to my house. But like I went to mad people's houses because they had the spot, you know what I mean. Niggas had the Xbox, niggas had the big TVs, niggas had the cleaning ladies, you know. It was they had what I didn't have. And yeah, it was nice, but it was different. It was a different experience, and it taught me a lot just about getting different people's perspectives on life, and it introduced me really early to to meeting people from different cultures and who have different experiences and opinions than I do. So that was really, really, really nice. The way that my school worked, of course, it's kindergarten through 8th grade, but if you wanted to, you could stay for 9th grade. Like, you could do your first year of high school at St. B's, and that way, like, when you go to whatever high school that you get into, like, you're kind of already in the system and you don't have to do like 4 whole years at a high school, which, like, on paper is cool. I think, like, in some situations it could create this connection. I stayed for 9th grade. The idea was that, if you stayed for 9th grade, then you were going to go to boarding school. I don't know why or how that became the case. That's, like, kind of just what was expected of you. I know most folks, like, when they say their grade, it's like, like, might be 100 people in your grade, but, like, for us, like, the school was small, and so my grade was like 20 people, like, per class, 40 people in, like, the whole grade maybe. And so when 9th grade came, of course, because people didn't stay for the whole time, it was like 8 or 9 of us, if I'm being generous. And so, yeah, it was just really nice to have a super small knit community of people who, like, I had been going to school for at this point, like, a decade, and, like, I knew these folks, like, regardless of whether they looked like me or not, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were locked in, we were bros. And so it was just easier, to stick around and to stay in an environment that I was familiar with, as opposed to, like, jumping into something new. Like, I was gonna say so early, but, like, at the appropriate time, Applied to a couple of boarding schools, and the one that, like, kind of caught my eye for real was this place called Millbrook School, in, like, upstate New York. Like, at the time I didn't know, but it's like no cell service, like, Wi-Fi is on a curfew, like, it gets cut off, you know what I'm saying, based on your grade at, like, a certain time. So you can't just be up at night on your phone, like, doing whatever before classes, because you got to wake up in the morning and, like, get yourself to class. I've been to a couple of summer camps, like, here and there, and so the idea of boarding school, the idea of, like, being away from home, like, wasn't scary to me. Like, it was something that I was, like, pretty excited about. I remember pulling up on Millbrook School for my tour. I remember seeing the campus. The campus was super beautiful. Everybody who, like, I saw there was, like, happy. There was, like, a couple kids skating, you know what I'm saying, when I first pulled up, and so that was, like, a really cool onboarding experience for me. I remember I did my interview or whatever. I had, like, my sketchbook with me. I was, like, talking about, like, this drawing that I made. I made the interviewer cry, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, they were very adamant about me coming to the school, and I wasn't mad at it, I was excited. That's a school that I ended up going to. Now, like I said, of course, when I pulled up, it was a little weird because the people in my grade had already met and, like, gotten to know each other and built, like, a little relationship because they spent freshman year together. And, like, I just kind of came in, was like, hey, what's up? I'm a sophomore, and you don't know who I am, but, like, this is my first year. First, I think it was, like, a little bit of a disconnect, but, like, I found my way. At my old school, like, we had a uniform. At St. B's, we had a uniform. In junior school, which was, like, K through 3rd grade, you had to wear khakis and, like, polo shirt and, like, you know what I'm saying, whatever regular ass, like, shoes you would find. Like, everybody wore Merrells at that time, which was super weird. I put, like, a picture of them. Them shit was nasty. We had to wear a blazer to school every day, and that stayed consistent throughout the entire time. I had to wear a blazer to school every single day, brother. Oh my gosh, that shit got tiring. And then on Fridays, we had to do, like, button-up shirt and tie and, like, the whole nine and everything. We had, like, a special assembly and this, that, and the third. And so, like, going to boarding school with, like, kind of a, like, not like a business casual dress code, but, like, that's kind of what it was. Like, you had to wear something with a collar. You could do sweaters. You had to mostly do khakis, and, like, you could wear whatever shoes you want, but, like, the most you could get away with was, like, black jeans. At the early stages, I didn't even try that. Like, later on into my school year, when I was, like, being a little rebellious, of course, like, I tried to stretch the rules as much as I can. I tried to wear whatever I wanted, and, like, just wait for people to tell me, oh, you can't wear that. But yeah, so that's kind of how I maneuvered throughout school. When I transitioned to Millbrook, it was really difficult because then the difference between my home, Harlem, New York City, and, like, upstate New York, borderline, I think it was, like, Sharon, Connecticut, which was where, like, it was on the border of. They're two completely different places, and it was like a 2-hour drive to get there, and I didn't drive, and I wasn't about to ask my parents every other weekend to come drive down and get me and then bring me me back just so I could spend not even 24 hours at my house and then like have to go back to school. Like that didn't make any sense. The only way for me to get back home, a 6 to 8 on a bad day, like a 10-hour trip on the Metro North, just sitting on that damn train, watching movies, watching the land pass by, leaving at like 11 a.m. maybe to maybe get home at like 8 p.m. And you gotta walk your bags all the way from the Metro North station back to my little home in Harlem or whatever. The difference between home and school, or what I called home, was so vast. On a normal weekend when like a lot of folks would go home, or even on long weekends when we had like an extra day or two of no school, we had class on Saturday. And so it wasn't as if like on Friday like your classes just ended. Like the only days that we had off were Sunday, for real. And so it didn't make sense for me to take 2 days and go home and, like I said, be home for less than 24 hours, or make my parents drive me there and back, or make my dad specifically drive me there and back. Because of that, like I just spent a lot of time at school, like at boarding school in upstate New York, away from home and away from Harlem and away from my people. And I didn't understand at first like what that was doing to me. I didn't understand how disconnected I was becoming from the place where I was born, because I literally was not there at all. The only time during the school year I was really able to go home and see people who look like me, because hold up, I didn't even talk about the demographic at Millbrook. Like like upstate New York is one thing, but it's also New York City, and so it's a whole lot of different cultures, a whole lot of different people. When I tell you Millbrook School was the waspiest thing I had ever experienced in my life. I am talking pastel colors. I am talking vineyard vines. I'm talking black dog. I'm talking blue and white floral dresses. I'm talking toe-headed people. Like, all of this stuff. When you used to see like those old memes of like starter packs and stuff, if I can find it, I'll put it right over here. But like that was the entirety of the school. It was like me and like 3 black people in like my whole little grade or whatever. And so, like in terms of seeing people who look like me and feeling like I was in a place where like I was welcome, it didn't feel like that. Of course, I had already had experience like dealing with folks who didn't look like me and dealing with folks from all over the world. My first roommate was like a white kid from the Bahamas, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't too bad like onboarding, but after a while it just kind of like it got to me, And I had to realize like, okay, because I'm not home really at all, just because the only time I can go home is during like winter break, maybe Thanksgiving, like spring break, you know what I'm saying? I was home like 3 times out of the whole school year for like not a really long time. And so while I was here, I had to make a very, very conscious decision to like take Harlem with me, and while I was here, while I was like walking around the city, or while I was just like exploring my environment, I had to be very, very present in my environment, so that when I go off to school, where I have like no access to any of this, where I have no access to culture, I don't have access to the music, that beat in my city, I don't have access to the people, I don't have access to the locations, I don't have access to the art, to all of this stuff. I had to take it with me. And so like Harlem became a part of my being, for real, specifically so that when I was in school, I could feel like I had some type of identity, because when I was at St. B's, it was very, very easy for me to just like lie about stuff. Like, because kids would talk about, oh, I went to vacation over here and I went skiing, like doing this, and I went this. And so like I was a liar, bro, like at the beginning of my school career, because I wanted to do that stuff too. I'd be like, yeah, bro, I went snowboarding, and then folks would grill me, be like, oh, where? Oh, you were. And I would just be pulling different stuff from whatever other people said to try and make up my little story of me going snowboarding so that I could fit in, When I went to high school, like I didn't want to do that no more. Like, that shit was lame, it was tiring, it was annoying. I wanted to be myself, and it felt really difficult for me to do that because I wasn't at home really at all. And so the times where I was at home, I was like, okay, I'm going to absorb, I'm going to soak all of this in as much as I can, so that when I'm not at home, I can still feel like I'm at home, because my home would be in my vessel, my home would be in my body. And And so like people would talk about like, oh, why you walk like that? Oh, why you walk so fast? Oh, why do you do this? Oh, why do you do this? And it's like, yo, because I'm not from here. Like, I'm not from where you're from. I'm from a place that has rhythm in it. And so I move with a sense of rhythm, and I was like standing on that. The idea of home went from being just my house, and like my little block area, to being Harlem, and to being like my parents, because at that point, and from like the entire time before that, like my parents were like my rock. They were like my two pillars. They were like gods to me. They were infallible. I like couldn't even fathom not having my parents. Like, I understood that a lot of black kids in general just didn't have both their parents, and so I felt very privileged and very appreciative that I was able to have both of my parents like around all of the time, present. My mom was like my emotional support system. Like, I could call her for anything. Same with my dad. I didn't talk to my dad as much, back then, unless I like needed money, which was like nasty. But like, yeah, whenever I had like an emotional problem, whenever I had really any issue, like my parents were always there for me, which was wonderful, and I'm super, super appreciative, and I'm super thankful of that. I don't know if I would have survived at Millbrook if I didn't have my parents, because after a certain point, especially by the time I got to my senior year, none of these people didn't really know me. They didn't have that like freshman year experience of like getting to know me. At a certain point, it just became like a lot of people just assuming things about me, trying to place these like ascribed stereotypes or these ascribed ideas onto me based on their own perception of like who I was, and like they boxed me in for real, and I like wasn't having that. Like, by the time I was in my senior year, it was really me versus 299 other kids. I wasn't taking shit from nobody. I wasn't letting nobody tell me who I was, or fucking, try and tell me the type of person I was, or try and accuse me of this and accuse me of that, when I know in my heart that like I know who I am, and I know what I did, and I know what I didn't do. So like, don't try me. Like, I'm not playing that, especially with these white people, bro. Like, I wasn't going for that. I wasn't going for that at all. Take a sip of water real quick. I will say Canes, whack. Fight me, I dare you. They got good cups though. Drink water. Again, because by that time, like, my home was my parents. It was Harlem. Like, I would be calling my parents like almost every day, just for like emotional support of just like getting through the day, because I didn't want to be there anymore, boss. Like, by senior year, I was really, really taking it a day at a time, and I was sticking it out as much as I could. I was trying to survive so I could get to college. You feel me? I didn't know what college I was going to go to until like my junior and senior year. And so when I really like figured out where I wanted to go, which ended up being Carnegie Mellon, because I did like a pre-college program there, and that went super, super well, and I had a really, really great time, staying over there, getting to understand the campus and the culture and the people that I would be introduced to while I was over there. Like, that's where my focus was. I was like, okay, as long as I can just keep my head down and like do my little art shit every day, as long as I can make it through this, like, I'll be good, and miraculously I made it through that without, I will say, acting on any self-harm or like detrimental thoughts with regard to just what I was going through at the time, just with like general microaggressions and racism and all of the big political buzzword stuff. I went through that, but like I made it through, and it built me up into a very, very kind of not independent, but I knew who I was. I was very, very comfortable and very possessive over my identity. And again, like, Harlem became a part of my identity because I was so far away from it all the time. And then especially connecting back to when I was going to St. B's, like, I wasn't going to school with like nobody in my neighborhood. And so when I was in my neighborhood, I was like, okay, I'm going to soak this up as much as I can so that I could take it with me. So I literally fled high school in order to get into college. Once I was in college, home became really, really fluid, because at that point I was comfortable with being away from home. Carnegie Mellon is in Pittsburgh, and I don't know if you've been to Pittsburgh before, but like, it's a really, really like wonderful city. Like, it's a great balance between the rural land and also like just the city lifestyle. Like you can go into the city and you can like shop at a store, and you can like there's a rap scene in Pittsburgh, which is amazing. Like you can travel, you can explore the city, and like your exploration will be fruitful. Like you'll gain a lot from just like walking around the city and exploring neighborhoods and being conscious of the communities that you're existing in and that you're walking into. And so that was really wonderful. Like I really enjoyed that. And so like not that Pittsburgh became my home, but I was okay with like my dorm being my home, and then like the outside being the outside. But like of course, I mean, I got homesick. Of course I like wanted to come home and see Harlem and see my city like very frequently, but it was easy to like not think about that because there was so much new, and there was just so much stuff in Pittsburgh. And I met Grant. I met my music partner in like on day 0. I met him at pre-college actually, and then on day 0 of college, like I found out that he was in my dorm, and then we just started offbeat like that day, and like we were doing music for the entirety of our college career. Even when bro transferred to Berkeley, like we were still cooking up over FaceTime, we were still linking, we were still, doing all this stuff. And so I was okay with home and like my active individual life being a little bit different. Like I was just so sucked in, and I was so involved in being in Pittsburgh and like understanding like what being in that city was like, and exploring it, and meeting a whole bunch of new people, and getting to know the music scene, and understanding like what my place was in the world in general, and how I wanted to represent like this new sense of identity that I had, and like present that to a city in a way that like was resonant, in a way that was consistent with like what I wanted to do and how I wanted to live my life. And like during college, it was great because I got to be focused on my classes, I got to be focused on art, I got to be focused on game design, I got to explore a lot of just avenues of my education and of my art practice. And like along the way, I met my girlfriend, I met my wonderful baby, I met my lady.